Yes, and we're live, and this is the weekly dev meeting for Website 1. We just had a pre-meeting because we do that. We have meetings and then we have pre-meetings, and sometimes we even have pre-meetings if, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be discussed. But hopefully this is the meeting and we will not have an after meeting, hopefully. We can all go to bed or do something more interesting than just sit and talk to each other about software development, although we all love this project. This is fun, and this is our hobby and our passion. So let's kick this off. My name is Thomas, and everybody knows me. We have Christian, Louisa, and Sampriti with us. And yeah, well, Louisa, this is your first time in our meetings, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know us? Would you like us to introduce ourselves, or you want to introduce yourself, perhaps?
Well, I don't know. I was taking Sam's class last spring, and that's when I joined at Agile Ventures, but then I didn't have internet at home, so it just came back again.
Good for you. Good for you. When you said you finished Sam's class, was that the
the spring? Yeah, the
in Hawaii?
Software engineering.
Do you mean like the CS169 course?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, like everybody. Okay, so you're a Rails developer then.
Yes, kind of. I will be one day.
Exactly. You are already, and you will be even better, hopefully. Okay, we all have our background in the CS169 courses, and yeah, so the Website 1 project, I don't know how much you know about that. I can just give you a brief background. This is the platform on which agileventures.org resides, and it's it's a place where people can meet, work together, share information about projects, and basically be the foundation on which we, our home from where we can collaborate and talk to our friends and feel at home, basically. So we have a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and this is the purpose of this meeting is to get some of our stories discussed and estimated. And let's go to Pivotal Tracker, and I don't seem to have Pivotal Tracker up. Pivotal, here we go. Okay. I just got some notifications that John is updating some of the stories in yeah. Okay, so he's working on in Pivotal as well. Christian, do you know if John's going to join us, or?
I got the impression that both John and Amal couldn't make this meeting.
Oh, he couldn't make this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was going to try and catch up with them tomorrow, or later, on the things I brought up.
Okay. The thing for us, what we discussed in the pre-meeting now was the events epic. So potentially we don't have to talk about that so much in this meeting. Hopefully Brian will join us in a while, at least. What we have here, we have certain stories here in the backlog that needs to be voted on, and these stories have been prioritized by the client. So we need to talk about these, and we need to assign points to them. Is everybody seeing my screen now? Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So let's start from the top. We have a story called Editor for Projects Description, and the user story is, as a developer, so that I may create attractive project description page, I would like to use a rich text editor to edit the project description. Just to show you, project descriptions are these. Go to Website 1, for instance. this is the project description. As it stands today, it doesn't take HTML. It does not have a rich text editor in for it. We have some code on develop already that makes it possible to add HTML tags to this field. But what this story is about is to add a rich text editor to this, when you edit this description. And
one question.
yeah.
So like I mean, when I was not that active, I noticed there was a debate, I guess, about Mercury, TinyMC, Markdown, and all the others. So
Yeah.
what was finally decided upon?
Nothing. We were very close to merging in a solution where we had TinyMCA before I hit the brake, and simply put said that first of all there was nothing. We didn't have a clear message from the client that he wanted another rich text editor than we already have in place. That's one thing. The other thing is that we use Mercury editor for documents. We use Markdown for articles, and now we would implement yet a third solution to edit the project description. So it's a no-go on my part, and we need to discuss this today and take this to a vote, I guess, or at least make a decision about this, because what we have here from the client, we've got this input that options for doing this includes existing Mercury editor or TinyMCA. And so it's up to us to make a decision what sort of technology we want to use on that. And I would leave it to you guys to argument for it. I have my opinion, but I would choose to be the last one to speak about this, if it's okay.
Yeah, I get that.
All right. So, Christian, do you have any opinion on this? No. Okay. So I interpret silence of I don't know how should. Brian, how you doing?
Here, but we can't talk.
Sorry, Thomas, I had my mic on mute. I think we need to definitely consolidate on one thing. I was a little surprised after I put my article vote in that it didn't appear on documents, and then I had a look at the code and I realised, oh yeah, this is completely different. I hadn't noticed that before. My bad. So yeah, it doesn't. We've got too many ways of doing it at the moment. I've got no real preference. Well, I suppose my preference is Markdown, just because I find it quick and easy. I can lock things up easily with that. But if it's the one we've got, Mercury, works fine. So I'll just stick with one. But if I did see there was a problem though with the embedding URLs, YouTube URLs easily. That's
another issue, but we're working on that first. It's a Mercury issue. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that must have some bearing on the solution, unless you say you've already got a Mercury solution for that.
Well, let's put it this way: there will be a Mercury solution in place rather soon. How to embed the YouTube videos, and just to demonstrate, it's like, for instance, here we have a nice Janis Joplin video, and if you want to share this, you get this URL in this format, u2.b, right? And this is the right format for Mercury to accept. Okay, and so everything, if all YouTube videos could be links to YouTube videos could be formatted in this way, that wouldn't be a problem. But the problem is that if we go to my manager, for instance, here, dashboard, here, for instance, let's see, and I try to share this video. That also comes with this okay, this wasn't a good example, but some of these links are not formatted in this way, but rather in this YouTube.com way, and Mercury won't accept that. So, but we are writing an override for that. So it's in the process of being fixed. Anyway, another thing we need to consider in this is that I think we have a story already about it, about redesigning the whole project landing page.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
Chris is working on that.
Yes.
Christopher.
Yeah. Christopher is. The story is not in the. I don't think the story is in the backlog yet. Yes, it is actually. So this means basically that if we could easily say that we don't need this editor for project description story, because we will. First of all, we have a quick fix on develop already, and if we do the project's landing template, then this story is redundant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And Brian says he has to go. Well, that's too bad, Brian.
But what would happen to the project descriptions then?
Well, we have this proposition from. Let's see here. Project wish list document. Where was that? There.
Which one's that?
Yeah, this is the proposal from Christian.
Christopher.
Christopher. Oh, sorry.
Me. Yeah. Too many Chris's.
Too many Chris's. Yeah, too many crosses to bear. Yeah. Anyway. But and my vision here is that if this is implemented, all of this text areas will be editable in Mercury, which I find quite convenient, because all the controls are up in the top of the browser window, and not all in the field as they are in TinyMCA, because then we have to have controls on every field. With Mercury, we have controls, one set of controls for an entire page, for instance. But I would rather say that we go for this story to implement this solution, rather than implementing an editing functionality that sooner or later have to go anyway. Because sooner or later we need to redesign this page anyway.
Yeah, no, well, I think that makes sense. You're saying it's
all right,
going to be superseded.
So let's see.
Yeah, so you should write up a new story actually, maybe, to revamp the project description page, and then.
Well, to Icebox. So like this. Well, we have this project landing template. This is the one that we would like to vote on, and this is where the lo-fi by Christopher is attached to. So I say we vote on this. We try to estimate this story, and just move this editor story back to Icebox, and mark it for deletion later on. But we need to talk about to the client about that. So if we have a look at the project landing template, now you all seen the lo-fi. The user story is, in order to be able to choose a project to work on as a new user, I would like to have a clear, concise presentation of a project on its landing page. So is there anything you need to clarify, or could we go to a vote? And now the question, Louisa, is: do you know how we vote?
No.
Okay.
I could just watch this
All
first
right.
time.
But it's quite okay. But the thing is that you think about this story, for instance, and what we want to do, we want to implement this this look. This is the way the project presentation page should look like, instead of something like this right now.
Yeah.
And what we are about to assess now is whether this is an easy story, intermediate story, or a hard story to implement. And if you feel it's an easy story, you give it a 1 point, and 2 for intermediate, and 3 for a hard story. Hard to implement solution. You know what I mean? And we all on the count of 3, when I say so, we just type in our 1, 2, or 3 into the chat window of this Hangout, and we press return, and hopefully we feel the same thing, that we all assign the same number to the story. Otherwise, we talk about it a little bit and try to come to a consensus, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's try voting then. Do you have your chat window open?
Yes, I do. But I didn't feel much confident on
It doesn't matter.
how
I mean, we
does
can.
that. Yeah.
All users are the same here, So don't think about this that this is your first time. Just if think of it like this: if it were you, if I would give you the assignment to implement this this way of presenting a project, would you think it's hard, or would you think it's fairly easy? And just reflect that. Let your vote reflect your own feelings to it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh, it's this is a learning experience for everybody. So, all right, Christian, you know how to do this. Sampriti, are you ready to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just typing up a message in simultaneously.
Okay, I know you do. I know. I get notifications on that all the time, so it's good. You're multitasking. It's wonderful. Now let's see. I have typed in, and on the count of 3, you hit return. 1, 2, 3, return. All right. So you see, good, Louisa. you have the same feeling about this as me and Sampriti. Christian, on the other hand, he feels this is a 3-pointer. Now, since you are the one that deviates from the rest of us, it would be good to hear your arguments why you gave it a 3.
Okay. Well, I just think there's a lot of work there. We've got maybe JavaScript and Jasmine and UI changes and design of the whole page and making it work. I can see that dragging on for a long time. So, I suppose it's not what I'm measuring. What I'm putting my 3 against is maybe the size of the task, not so much the difficulty of the task.
Understandable. I would say that I usually, if there's not much tests involved, this is a UI issue, and so I usually say that if there's not so many, tests that needs to be written or rewritten, I would say it's a fairly low complexity story. And in this particular case, there are some cucumber stories that need to be updated and perhaps rewritten, and some view specs that needs to be updated as well. But there's not so much other tests that needs to be addressed, So that's why I get it.
Are we not adding the Mercury editor on this page?
Good point. Sampriti, how do you feel about this? Should we have this story as a design of the template, and a new story to add, editing functionality?
I think first we should just redesign the whole UI first, and then after that is finished, we can add in Mercury, because I don't think that is a very big, like, is it like a urgent story, a high priority story, or can it be scheduled for a bit later?
You mean this one?
the Mercury editor page story.
Both of them are prioritized by the client.
Okay, so then I guess yeah, I think it will be. I mean, if we merge those both in, it will be a three-pointer story. But obviously, it makes sense to split them up into different stories.
Okay.
I guess we could just do the redesign first, and then after that, like we could do the Mercury editor thing, because I think that the Mercury editor will be easier to implement once the redesign is done. Because
Okay.
right now there are multiple fields on one page on the edit form, and it'll lead to some complexity. But when new UI is implemented, it will be all on one page. Like the whole there'll be a whole section of editable text,
Mm,
so that will be easier to mercurize.
mm, yeah. Okay. So I would say that this is a two-pointer then. You're a little bit in minority there, Christian. So you're
No,
gonna
I agree. I mean, I had included the Mercury editor, and
good. All right. Then I understand. So and now I will just move the Mercury editor back to backlog, but underneath the project landing page, and remove my. I will remove my note about moving to Icebox and complete this before start, starting this story. Oh, okay. So what I'm saying here that we need to complete the the app the redesign of landing template before we start implementing Mercury. But if we then we have to take a quick vote on implementing Mercury on this not yet designed landing page. And just to explain, we implemented Mercury before, so everything is basically in place. And the only thing we need to do is to technically, we need to assign certain what is it? It's IDs or certain CSS classes to
Yeah.
to
Just
to,
one
to
concern that I have here is, I mean, I understand that Mercury could be implemented, but like when I was like when I mean, I was implementing static pages controller, that was also like a Mercury editable, and then there were a lot of there were some of the things common. So we extracted the access page concern, which like extracted the common things from article, the document, and the static page. Now, if you are adding in a third, like the project to the static, the Mercury table, I think it will be better to just, I mean, at that step, we could refactor it and then just create a controller concern which deals with all the Mercury actions. So so whenever you would want to like create like let's say if we want to have just let's say want to have Mercury for events, so all we would need to do is like just to include Mercury editable.
okay. So we should. How would we? Uh, do you want to go into the pivotal and add that as a task? So we have that as a criteria. So if you want to do that refactoring, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could add that as a task. I mean, that's the bigger story, but I think we could have that as a task.
Mm-hmm.
Or that might be just extracted into another story, probably. I don't know, like we could just do it,
I would keep
leave it
that. I would
as.
keep that in this story because as it
Yeah,
stands by itself, it's a fairly uncomplex story. So I would.
yeah, and like that's one of the places where, like, if you have a look at our code climate, which nobody does,
Mm,
but that's one of our like very bad points, where because there's a lot of duplication between the documents controller Mercury things and the static pages controller Mercury things,
mm.
and if we add in another projects controller, then that'll cause even a
Yeah,
worse rate.
gotcha. Well, just a quick note. I do watch Code Climate a lot, and
Okay,
I'm not very happy with the current points we have right now. But
okay,
they didn't build Rome in one day, so we have to take it slowly, basically. But yeah, I understand. The duplication is a problem. But let's take a quick vote on this one, bearing in mind that there's a lot of refactoring that needs to be done, as Sapriti just said. And David, welcome to the meeting. How are you doing?
Oh, Thomas, thank you. I'll be able to stay for a few minutes, just I'm afraid.
You're more than welcome. Did you catch any of
Yeah.
the discussion we just had regarding the Mercury implementation?
No, I missed that. I literally only joined 10.
Okay,
20.
then you can probably skip this vote. Perhaps you can be around for the next one. So again, if you guys feel that this is a complex story, put it down for a 3, 2 or 1 if it's easy.
Could I just be clear which one we're talking about?
Oh, sorry again. It's the editor for project description. So once we have designed the project landing template, we need to implement Mercury on that template.
So that doesn't include this refactoring concern?
It does include that. It does include that, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Yeah.
And Sampriti, you're in the process of adding that task to this story?
Yeah.
Great. So anyways, just... so let's type in your values. 1 for an easy story, 3 for a complex one. And hit return now.
My vote didn't go through. Oh yeah, it did.
Well, I said 3. You guys
So,
said 2. And
so my vote is a 3.
Your vote is a 3 then, okay. All right. So, and the reason why I said 3, just I can perhaps start, is because of the refactoring, and there will involve quite a lot of tests that are in place today that can, when we move a piece of code like this, a lot of tests could start failing for us. So we need to refactor a lot of tests potentially, right, Sabriti?
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of duplicated tests and all that. Lots of things need to be cleaned up. So.
Yeah. So if it's okay with you guys.
I think you've persuaded me.
Once again.
You have persuaded me.
Okay, Louisa, are you okay with the 3 as well?
Yes.
All right. Then we're gonna put it down for 3. Close that one. Yeah. And okay, we have this story: rank projects by GitHub commit count. Let me just show you projects. Okay, what we have now, this is the project list right now, and they are displayed basically, I think the oldest at the bottom and the newest at the top. And what we want to do here, we want to rearrange the way these are displayed by how active these projects are. And one of the way to determine whether a project is an active project is the amount of GitHub commits to that particular project. And so, for instance, we have, website 1 with, 2,492 commits. So that's one of our bigger, more active projects. And if we have the biggest, if we have a look at local support, that is 1,800 commits, right?
And
so
if
that's
you have
the
a look
second.
at Ostra, that has 99 commits.
Yeah, so Ostra will be 117.
Yeah.
So Ostra will come down, but not very far down actually, because it's becoming one of the biggest. I mean, the more active projects. Cordelia has 381. So we want to hit the API, ask how many commits there are, and order this list in accordance to that.
Okay, so let me just say here, like, this story should be pretty easy, I think, because I mean, with my GitHub commits on pull request, I've implemented all the functionality in place, and all the person who is doing the story needs to do is just add a default, like, there's this thing called default scope. So just the person needs to specify the order in which the projects will be ordered based on the total GitHub commit counts. The complexity in the whole story would be to just writing that SQL query and also to test that. That's all the story includes, because everything else is covered by the GitHub commit count pull request.
Yeah, great. So, do you guys need more clarification, or could we vote on this?
No, but I've got a comment on the story.
Yeah.
That is, I see that sidebar as navigation, and it would be nice if it is organised, and the logical way would be alphabetically. I'm not saying we don't need a
well,
page.
actually, we spoke about this, and for in our kind of business model, the logical way to organize them isn't actually alphabetically, but rather how active the projects are. You know, we want to display the active projects on top, because we know that users that have a look at this page, they tend to, you know, see what's on top of a list rather than you know, search for something specific. That's why we want to display them in the, you know, in the GitHub commit. I mean, we kind of settled that the amount of GitHub commits is the way to determine, perhaps a very simple and oversimplifying way to determine the activity level in a project, but for now this is what the best indicator we have. And so alphabetically is not the way to go for us, like I was saying.
Mm-hmm. But well, can I just add something to that? And that's when you see all projects, you've got the project list down the centre. I agree. One could reorganise that in many ways, by top commits, by newest, by whatever we want alphabetically. But I agree. Navigation, it's like moving menus around. It ruins the user interface. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, that's kind of some validity, because I think like when a new user comes and he wants to select a project, he just goes to the projects page, right? So if you click on the projects page, let's say, well, like, can you just go to the projects page?
But I understand. But what if, you know, a new user doesn't really know what projects could? I mean, we have a lot of stuff here, right? You know, I mean, spec score is not active. You know, ISA's textbook is only active, you know, with very few stakeholders, basically. You know, while Osra isn't a very active project, should be on top, because that's the one that we as an organization want to display. This is one of our flagship projects. So is website one.
Website one.
Once again.
Talk about website one. It's the most active project, but it's at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and Autograders is
and local support as well.
Yeah, and for instance, Autograde is at the very bottom, but Autograders is a very interesting project with high profile stakeholders. You know, we have the you know, Berkeley X is the client, and edX is the client on that. You know, so, and a lot of other universities. So this is definitely a project that we want to showcase. You know, and blah blah blah. So that's.
I agree that the ordering on the left is silly. It looks like it's just done in ID order. Is community portal the last one, the highest ID, and that's why it's on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. We ought to reorder the menu in the sidebar. Plus, if you want to list by commit count and other mechanisms, I think we could go somewhere else. But
yeah, but the thing is,
I won't labour this anymore, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, we don't want to list the commit counts on this menu. You know, we just want to order by the commit count.
Yeah.
You know, the commit count is not visible to the user.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's an automatic ranking. It won't change that often because the commit counts, as you say, are quite large.
Yeah.
It will settle down into.
Yeah, because, you know, over time, actually, you know, I already see a potential pitfall in ordering them like this. Because, for instance, if website one, he has what was it, 3,000 or whatever, 2,000 something commits, but not if we would decide to stop working on website one, right? Then after a while, you know, 6 months from now, perhaps we would still top the amount of commits, but other projects are more active but they haven't reached the amount of commits yet. You know what I mean? So we should, you know, in the next iteration of this ranking system, we would need to include other things. For instance, not only the commit count, but also when was the last commit was, when was it made? You know, and downgrade the project after that. But today our job is to sort them after, you know, the GitHub commit count. It's been okayed by the client as a not the best way to rank them, but the way we can fast, you know, it's a hotfix basically for us.
Yeah, biggest bang for this amount of effort.
Yeah. So as Sampriti says, most of the job is done. It's a matter of you know, fixing the order and rewriting some tests basically. Perhaps adding some tests. You know, we have to add some cucumber and also view specs.
Yeah, I think the only problem would be like to write this query because it might be a bit complex, the ordering query. So that's it. Because it needs to be reference multiple tables and needs some joins and all that.
Yeah.
It might be a bit complex.
Yeah. But it's an interesting story. It's challenging. So
yeah, I must say it's a really interesting story.
So let's vote. You guys know the drill. 1, 2, or 3. Okay. And on my mark, hit return now. All right. We're in the minority here, Sampriti.
Yeah.
So anybody want to argue? Sampriti, you want to take this?
Yeah. So like the way I have set up the commit counts is that like instead of having the commit count as a field in the projects table, I have a separate commits count table, and it's like a has many to relationship between both the users and the projects. Shouldn't go into technical details, but that causes one problem is that the order by clause needs to reference multiple tables, and that will cause some complexity. Because of that, some complexity arises, and therefore I think that will be a bit hard to the ordering will be a bit hard to implement. And then there are specs to be written for the ordering, which will need some rewriting of existing specs as well as writing new specs, and I feel ordering specs are sometimes a bit hard to do as well. So which is why I think I've given like 1 point for the specs and 1 point for the code. That's my.
Does that make sense to you guys? Anybody want to change their vote yet, or you want to stick with the 1?
I'll change mine to a 2.
I don't know.
And anybody wants to argue for a 1?
Christian? Okay, there's a 2. All right, we're gonna settle for 2 then. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. There we go. 2. Okay, next, because automatically add new members to Slack. Well,
No, I don't want the story. This will cause a lot of spam because I mean, yeah, if you have automated adding for members to Slack, just causes a lot of spam, I guess. I mean, if people manually ask us for invites, like we could just mention it in the welcome email, and then people, if they are interested, they'll ask for an invite that says that like that shows that they're interested and they are real people. However, if you just have an automated system, people who are not really interested and won't do much will get invited, and they'll just start posting ads and stuff.
Okay.
Probably.
I'm gonna just say let's have a second round of talks about this.
I mean, it's pretty easy to do, and I have the script ready for it, but I'm not sure about how useful this will be. Just like the contact form.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that let's have a second round of talks about this in next client meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Let's close this one. A cheat sheet plan for introduction of the PP session for a new user.
Documentation explosion.
Yeah. So let's basically, I'm gonna write the same thing here. You know, I'm not ready to deal with this right now. So, okay. And the thing here is to the general public here is that we had a situation with where everything was supposed to be documented, and this is not really my style. I would rather go with a slightly different approach. So without making this discussion too long, I would just like to hold off on this story because it's not that interesting. This one, the second one here, site introduction screencast, is more interesting actually.
Yeah. I believe written text is much more boring, and audio visual is much better. Everybody agrees here, I guess.
So I would say that the first task here, this is a very complex story because it involves a script, and it involves recording some materials, and it involves editing materials. And I am pretty fluent in Adobe After Effects and Premiere. I can do video editing, but I'm not a script writer. So we need to, collaboratively, write some sort of a script. And then my idea was that we could ask, like Sam, me, some of you guys, just say a few short sentences, and put this all together to, in a 30-second or 45-second short movie. Use some to talk about learning. I could say something about leading a project. Christian or Louisa, you can say about how it's to be new in this community or something like that. But I wouldn't overdo this. I would like to keep this very simple but still, to write a script first.
It's like kind of like a very short introduction to the whole website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
30 seconds, I guess.
There is a very useful tool, Thomas, for this sort of thing. It's Australian, and the name of it is actually just gone out of my head. I'll check it out and I'll post it for you. It's collaborative and there's web-based. It is a paid-for service, but there is a free service to go with it.
You're talking about Atlassian, Confluence, maybe?
It's not called Confluence.
Okay. Okay, forget it.
I'm trying to remember what it is. I've used it. There's a Java app originally which you could run locally, but they've made it a web-based thing. But it allows one to storyboard a thing and have little bits, and it's designed for doing this. It came out of the Sydney Film School.
Well, check it out, and just write it in this story. Under the some make some comments about it.
It might help.
Yeah. Let's have a quick vote on this. It's a very tough one to vote on, I know, but it needs to be assessed. So I guess we're all gonna differ a little bit here, but on my mark, 3, 2, or 1, okay? Yeah. So hit return now. Okay.
I would actually give it a 5, but I would give it a 5, but since
we don't do 5, we don't do 5.
You remember we did one.
Yeah, I know. It was terrible. So, but I'm very glad that we were all on the same page on this one. So
yeah, I think the rule is if you think it's 5, we need to break it up into more than one story.
Exactly.
Yeah, we once did a 5-pointer story and it turned out disastrous, and the pull request was very huge.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So I would like us to vote on yet another story that Joseph from Taiwan is researching, and that is to add search functionality. It's in the icebox right now. I spoke to Sam, and I'm okay to move this into backlog, and he is doing a spike on this, and there's this gem called Search Cop, and we want to basically. Are you guys with me still? Yeah, you're still with me.
Yeah.
You all went so silent suddenly. Sorry, go ahead and ask.
I just wanted to ask, is the search index going to be local, or is it going to be some kind of third-party Google or something?
It's Postgres search. Postgres full text search.
Yeah.
Elasticsearch and all that would be too complex, I guess. We don't have so much data, so it's not required.
No. But this one is this gem we researched it, and it seems fairly stable and reliable. And basically the user story, I just want to read it out loud. As a user, in order to find relevant information on the site, basically, I would like to access a full-text search engine that can query all of the application's models and display the results on a separate web page. And I had a question mark here whether we should place the search field on top of the navbar here, just beside the Agile Ventures logo, very similar as the this GitHub search field. Questions, opinion?
Have we done any calculations and estimates on the size of our database compared to the free plan at Heroku?
We spoke about this actually earlier in this meeting, and we are okay. We are far from reaching a limit, although neither me or Sapriti are pretty sure on exactly how big our database is. I can do those calculations, before the next meeting, perhaps, but I don't have that accessible right now. But I think we're okay. I mean, there's a Sapriti, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just need to find out like how much the documentation explosion has cost us. Other than that, and I just need a hangout.count. That's it. Just two values.
Yeah.
Actually, I say because I mean there was so much documentation. I guess that would have caused a lot of problems. So.
Yeah. Although I think we still had less documentation than we had on the Google site, but yeah, search index probably will be fine then. Good.
Yeah, there's.
I'm going to have to leave in a minute, but I'm after this vote.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just.
There is this command in the group chat if you want to run that.
We have 196 hangouts. We have
only.
Yeah. We have 449 users. Okay, man.
Events.
We have 217 documents.
Okay. More hangouts than documents.
And we have 84 events.
And
okay. What else? Documents, project
is 15, I think.
19. Yeah.
Oh, 19.
But what else do we have? We have follows.count.
Yeah, follows is a
follow. Sorry.
Follow.
228.
Actually, there's this command in the group chat. Can you just copy and run that? I guess that'll just give everything, the total number of rows. That one.
The whole thing here, like this?
Yeah, no, that one. That's a one-liner. So.
Yeah, I know. I got you. Total number of rows 3,569.
Okay.
So, and we have how many rows do we have? What is it? 50?
I mean, for Hangouts we have about, I guess, 5 more years then.
Yeah.
Or 4 to 5 more years.
Yeah.
If the current rate of Hangouts goes on.
So even if we grow, I mean, we're not gonna hit any limit anytime soon. So.
We have 1 year, I should say.
Okay. Anyways, let's vote on this story, just so we get that under, So basically, what we need to do, we need to implement this search field. We have to modify most of the models that we want to be searchable. We have to write some new tests whether those models respond to this, some methods. And what else? I mean, there's this new view needs to be implemented. And some Cucumber specs, of course, and some view specs, right?
Yeah. And yes, I mean, this will cause some slowdown maybe. I don't know. I'm not. I haven't researched the gem to see if like this might need some database optimizations. Probably not, but
No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't think so. But
okay.
we can. I mean, that needs to be considered.
Yeah, that will be a separate story, I guess.
Mm.
Could it would it make sense to say that this is quite complex and could do with being broken up into an epic of 2 or 3 stories?
I don't see that, David. Uh,
No,
Well, let me explain what I'm imagining. Like maybe the first story would be to have the view, put the view in place, and index one model, uh, get that spec'd and running. And then the second story might be to add some more models once we've integrated the first one. I think that would make the pull request smaller and just I'd make
okay,
the other people in the team
that's a
happier.
valid. I understand what you mean now. I would say. Hmm.
but I mean, I don't think it's like for implementing in a model. It's basically 5 lines per model.
Yeah.
What's important, what I think what might be difficult to do is the testing. Like the implementation part should be very easy. Like I'm having a look at their what do you say their GitHub README, and it seems like you don't really have to do anything except for just defining some scopes in the models,
Hmm.
and then like and then calling the appropriate methods. That's it. Nothing else. No database changes, no index generation, nothing. They do everything like to the like query. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I know what you mean there,
Oh,
David, but
okay then. Yeah,
I would agree
maybe
with.
yeah. It can be split up into separate pull requests, but all in one story then. Yeah.
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 I thought there was changes to the database.
Hmm.
I thought there was manual changes to the
I got you. I
database.
got you. I got you. No, this is a fairly sweet solution. I was thinking about the search functionality for a while, and the way I thought about it was also that we would do stuff manually, and implement some new models and new changes to database. But with this gem, we get a lot for free. Uh, and hopefully it works fast. If they've written the gem properly, that wouldn't slow our things down too much. So I think we can keep it in one story. That's my opinion. All right, should we vote?
Yeah.
um, all right then. Well, you guys know the drill now, so 3, 2, or 1 on my count. Hit return now.
Okay.
Okay.
Question. I guess I'll explain. So what I thought was, since this does not, I mean, as I explained before, this seems pretty simple, and like it doesn't really need much. The only thing I find complex here might be is, and even the view is just a simple text box and maybe one view to display the results, so not much complicated. And I think the only like the problem might be in writing the specs,
Mm.
for which I'm like, if the specs might be a bit harder to implement, then I might go over to a 3. But for the implementation part, like, I mean, I don't think it should be too complex.
Yeah.
So
I got you. My reasoning for it too is that there. I was hesitating. I was thinking about the 2 or a 3, but I would say I see some potential, pitfalls for unexperienced developers
yeah,
to write those specs. So that's why I went with a 3, basically.
yeah, then I would
Okay.
go with a 3, because a new developer is basically doing this, so I would change to a 3.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
I,
agree.
I went with 2 because I thought the view was easy, as Sampreti mentioned. Um, but and it appears that there aren't that many database changes. But yeah, it's all down to testing.
Yeah, it's the testing that worries me actually.
Actually, building the test data is probably because we use those faker Latin things, don't we?
Hmm.
Yeah, the
But
one thing in this case that concerns me is that, like, I mean, as you notice in the voting, So like since this is an open source project and people are pretty recruited of sorts, he used to,
Uh,
let's say if I and you or Brian or David or whoever were in the hangout, like all the experienced members would have would were to take the story. I guess we would have gone with it too.
yeah,
But say a new user is coming and this is his first story and his first experience with website one, we need to give him a brief.
yeah.
This is kind of something like I mean I don't think like the point system is for like deciding the complexity of the story. I don't think complexity should be determined by like a user's experienceness or not. But unfortunately, we're having to do that because this is a new user.
Well, I would say that that complexity is something elusive sometimes. It's both the complexity of the code and the task that comes with the story. But we need to take care. I mean, this is a people-focused business anyway.
Yeah, sure.
And we need to take into consideration that people have different skills levels and stuff. So and over time, these all these variables kind of evens out. You know what I mean? I mean, people tend to get better and more experienced over time. But then again, in a community like this, we're always going to get new members, and we as a project team or the dev team, we need to always have stories in the backlog for new members. Like we have this UI chore right now that we can set people give tasks to people, but also fairly complicated ones like this one. I mean, I can see. I don't know, Luisa, if you're interested in this story, but now I know that Joseph is going to
I'm
work
not.
on this.
Yeah.
But you can pair program with him. This is an interesting story. You can learn a lot by implementing this, and also get to know the code base of website one. So
And
it is a good story.
yeah, I think this one is much more complex than the other one for organizing the list of projects.
Mhm. I think
So
that the organizing list project is also a good beginner story,
yeah,
because you will see results on screen, into production. It's a good thing for everybody that's new in the project, that you not only work with some refactoring of specs, something that you never see,
yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
But also,
I, I, I
there's
feel
some
this one
UI
is a lot
issues,
more complex.
testing issues. So if you want, you can grab that one, Lisa. You're more than welcome to do that. Um, so
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that I need to talk about was like when you were gone and when I wasn't there, and when Brian wasn't there, like there were a number of new users like let's say Christian and then John, and I think that most of their first tasks was upgrading to Aspect 3. I mean, I don't really know how that helped, but that was like it didn't really give like you're talking about. It didn't really cause any changes in production. So
Yeah, yeah. I know. I mean, there was some good stuff going on over the summer, but there were also a lot of, you know, kind of boring documentation. I mean, refactoring stuff that, I mean, it's okay. I understand that, but we have to push this project forward. We have to deliver, new features and add value for our users. And I think these things that we're voting on today are value-adding features, and I think they're going to make an impact. Basically, and if we're not going to vote on any more stories today, but apart from, oh, I'm sorry, perhaps we should vote on create edit upcoming event instance. This is a story that John is dependent on. Um, and this one is okay. We have to vote on this before we end this meeting. This one is fairly tricky because he has to create. He has to modify the Hangout model uh, as it stands today, and and create a mechanism to kind of lazily create those instances. We spoke about this in the pre-meeting. Um, Sampriti, what do you feel about this?
yeah, this is pretty complex. I guess you're just migrating a whole epic, which was an epic. The hangout was an epic. The event was an epic. So it's two epics, and you're making a lot of changes. So this should be quite a complex story. In fact,
Yeah,
I think this should be split up into multiple stories. This should be about a 4-point or 5-point stories, which means again this should be split up into multiple stories. But
You
but
mean
it's a
even
joke.
this one? Because I know that he already kind of. This is
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm not really sure. But I think this might be quite complex. But it depends upon John because he's the one
Okay.
who's going to do it.
How about guys that we kind of don't even
Thomas?
vote? I would assign 3 point to this one just so John can
Yeah.
start working on this.
John
Okay,
is
and
here.
yeah, I'm here. I'll
Oh,
split it up
hi,
so that,
hi. How you
hey,
doing? When did you join?
about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, I didn't see you. Sorry.
I'll split it up so that the first part of it is just the non-recurring events. So that will make it a bit easier, and then the second part will be adding on the recurring events.
Hmm.
So we could change this to just non-recurring,
Hmm.
the story here.
Are you sure? Would that make the?
Well, that's the way I'm going to approach it anyway. So I don't know if it makes sense from a pivotal point of view, but from my, from the way I'm going to approach it, it'll make sense.
Yeah, I would say that from our, from my point of view, it doesn't. I mean, how you approach the development process is completely, entirely up to you. But I wouldn't split this one up just
Okay.
in that way. Actually, I think I don't see a good reason because when we split those stories up, we also implement them sequentially. So first we're going to implement one thing and then the other, and I don't really see the reason why we would like to have only one part of this implemented. I would rather wait for a full pull request, to deal with both variations of the events. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But we can vote on this, or we can agree upon setting this as a complex 3-point story. How do you guys feel about this?
Sure.
All right.
I'll just go with 3 points because if it's John's story and
Yeah.
it's not so complex, then I guess we can go with 3 points.
Yeah.
And Thomas, I added those other two chores up at the top earlier.
Yeah.
The ones, if you go up to the top of the icebox, I think you'll see a couple chores.
I think I'll just have to leave quickly. So I mean, if there is any other voting there, or because it's too late here now.
Okay. No, I mean, I think we're done voting. These. Okay. So, but you sure you want to see those as chores? Don't you think that these are features?
I don't know. The user won't notice anything, right? I don't know what to call them. They're features, call them features. Sure.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Okay. I would. I don't want to argue about language, but I would say event template. I wouldn't say event series template.
Okay.
Because some of them series are just one instance, and we're still gonna use. You know what I mean?
Okay.
How do you feel? Is that okay? And also, it's shorter. Think about it at least, So, but I would say when you change those events to some other name, you have to check a lot of stuff. You have to refactor some tests, and
Yeah, I've never done this before, so it's the database and it's in the code as well. So I don't know.
I would say, that this is a feature because it does, there's some serious coding involved here. I would set this as a feature, and if we can vote on it instead of, or is it a chore? I don't know. I'm not really sure about this.
I think
You could think of it as the first part of the second bit.
Yeah.
Like effectively, you split up. You have split up the task.
I don't know. Okay, let's keep it a chore for now. Oh, yeah. But we move it to backlog, to the backlog. Enhance events model, store schedule. Enhance events model, the store schedule. Remember, store schedule override. But you don't have. It already stores the schedule. No.
No. Well,
it has a schedule object attached to it.
Mm.
no.
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 Oh, no. Okay. All right.
It's got a few variables, columns, which it uses to build a schedule each time. Each time it's required.
Okay.
But actually adding the schedule, I don't think it's that complicated. The reason it is.
Why would you want to store this schedule?
Why do you want
because the schedule can store the exceptions more easily.
Mm.
Otherwise, we have to store the exceptions separately. It's not critical, but
the way I looked at it was all this work has gone into this gem, and it's fast and efficient, and then we come along and chuck it all away and have our own set of variables and build it up each time. It sort of seems to defeat the point.
Well, one nice thing about the way we're doing it is if we want to go back and edit the template for the event, the recurring event, all the fields are right there, and it's not easy to extract the fields from the gem.
No, that's
Except
true.
for the start time and the end time, those are the only ones that it's easy to get at.
Yeah, I agree with that. That there is a need to have fields or columns in the model if we want to filter on them. But then one needs to sort of, if one is storing the schedule, then if the schedule changes, those columns get updated. But they're sort of read-only columns, they're helper columns rather for the query, to make queries efficient, rather than at the moment we update those columns directly. Well, in fact, we sort of, we do update them and then rebuild another schedule. Maybe that's not an overhead.
Okay, so all right, so.
But you are going through what? How many events did you say we had? 85 each time?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so what if I? So Eurasia Scrum. If I, So how many occurrences does he save? He saved next occurrence. That's the 5. Okay. So when I call next occurrences on an object, on an event object, I get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I get 7. Next as occurrences of this event. But what happens if I want to remove one of them? And you guys say that we can't do that unless these are stored. Is that because?
Well, it provides a nice way to do it. If we store the schedule, it will store with it the removed occurrences.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just a convenient way of storing it. Then we can pull it back up, and it'll be persistent that way. And if we want to remove another one, and then we just store it again, it just keeps track of them that way.
Okay. All right.
Although I'm not sure what happens if we recreate the schedule from scratch after that. We'll have to be careful how we deal with it. If somebody goes in and edits the series to change the recurrence rule, then
Yeah, because we have those. Okay, all right. Okay, but yes, that's a chore anyway. So, but I moved it from let's move forward. I moved it to the backlog, so you can work on it. You know,
Okay.
because you can't start them unless they are moved to backlog. So
Okay.
so yes, feel free to work on it and pair with. I know you've been working with Amal and Christian on this before.
Sure. Not Christian yet, but yeah.
Okay, but please do at least let me know when you guys are about to pair, and I'd love to join you, just to see you in action. Perhaps I can
Okay.
give some inputs on it. At least I would love to understand this a little better than I do today. Okay.
Okay.
So yes, because when we get this sorted out, we can then start work. Have users follow events or RSVPs, or there's a bunch of other functionality we can add to the events epics. So, but this feels like if we can start with this, at least we're moving forward, right? Good. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Refactoring revisions. Native system for comments. Yeah, and okay, but we can keep this for now. I think we have enough stories to work on. Louisa, how do you feel about this GitHub commit count story? Is it something you want to work on?
Yeah, if someone can help me, for sure.
I think like that can't be worked on unless my GitHub commit count feature is merged in.
Yes. Yes. True. True.
I couldn't hear it.
Yes. And your GitHub commit. What's the delay? Why haven't we merged that in yet?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I fixed all the report review ratings that we did.
It is merged in, my friend.
Okay, so I'm reinstalling again, I guess.
It's on develop. If you go to Thomas has contributed to website 316 times and local support 92 times.
Okay, so all right. Okay.
Yes, so it is. Yes, I remember. The funny thing is that I ran the rake task today to get this. Yeah, I mean,
you just need to add it into the scheduler. You don't need to run that again.
I know, but I wanted to do that when after Brian merged it in last night, and I couldn't see it. I didn't see the functionality, so I said, "What's up?" And he said, "You have to run the rake task." So I did it, and now it's there. So that's a good thing, I think. So yeah, so you can start that, and feel free to reach out to Sampriti. He's supposed to study for his midterms, but he hangs around Agile Ventures all the time, so he can probably help you out. Right, Sampriti?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do some research on SQL myself. My SQL is a bit poor, unlike you, Thomas. So.
Yeah, I know, but you can set her straight. Just help her to get going. I know that you are busy and everything. So, but remember, Luisa, when you feel like working on something, always paste a link to, on Slack that you're about to start, working on a story, and ask somebody if they want to pair program with you.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it. And usually there are somebody around. So never try to avoid working alone. It's lonely and boring. So okay, and Christian, do you see any story that you want to take ownership on right now?
Let me have a quick look. I have been going through some other things. I've been looking at the entity relationship model in OSRA, and I've also gone through Girls Ruby Summer of Code in Germany, related to the Codelia project. So could I come back to you on
Sure,
this?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm thinking of maybe picking some of the simple ones. I'm happy to put voting in onto other documents, but I can see there's other works occurring with the documents. Being able to move them around and stuff like that. So it's probably not the right time to do something like that, and we don't really need it now anyway.
Well,
Can you arrange the story for me, I guess? Because I'm empty right now.
once again,
Is there a story for me?
for you, there's always a story for you. Let's see here. What do we have? How about, you see this, we have some.
Please don't give me. I mean, yeah. Let's see.
Well,
In fact, Thomas, I would like to join a couple of hangouts with John and Amal on the event scenario, just to be able to add my input and help.
yeah, that's one way to do this. Absolutely.
And also I can pair with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, some pretty. I was thinking that we don't have a story for this now, but you remember I spoke to you about this web-based mailing functionality that we could add to this story that we really haven't delivered yet, I think, or have we? About the mailer.
Yeah, we have a console mailer, but no web-based mailing. So.
Once again.
We just have a console mailer where we can only deliver mail from the console, the Rails console, but we don't have one for like we can't do anything from the web at the moment.
How about could you? I don't know if you're interested in this, and feel free to say no. But I would love to if you could spike something up like a hard-coded access, for me, Sam, and you, Sal, perhaps, because you will hack it anyway. And some sort of a web-based interface to use that mailer. Could that be something interesting for you?
Yeah, because I'm working on something similar on another client project, so it might be easy to do.
And if you spike something up, we can add that to the backlog later, and we can make a feature out of this.
Yeah.
For the next meeting, perhaps.
Yeah.
In a week. Yeah, that would be great. And then there are other stories that I can see your name written all over it, and we have this. I want an ads, about the future. This is nothing we can decide on today, but I would love to add some more of social functionality, like I want users to be able to set current status. I want them to be able to follow. We already follow certain projects, but I want them to see activities on those projects, some news feeds and stuff like that, and also this advanced user search that we have in the Icebox. It's something that is crucial for me in terms of hooking people up for pairing opportunities. I want them to be able to search on skills, on time zones, on availability and status and stuff like that. But these are things that we can discuss on the next dev meeting. But usually when I write up a story, I attach a user story to it. So feel free to browse through the Pivotal Tracker Icebox and acquaint yourself with the stories that are there already. Hopefully we can start working on them in a few weeks or something. All right?
Yeah, I guess I'll just look into that spike for the user mailer at the moment. When I have the time. Like if I finish up some of my Oscar commitments, after that I'll do this. So.
Wonderful. And
I guess that's it. I will leave now because it's too late here. So.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And you have other commitments. And we are just about to wrap up, unless there are any other Oh, John already left.
Just two little things I'd like to throw into the pot and maybe get your feedback on. One is asynchronous events. Where are we with that? And sort of related to that, but also it seems, with events and shooting forward and optimizing, what about cron tasks or regular processing, or do we have an out? What is your opinion, feeling?
We are actually doing that through the Heroku scheduler. I mean, the Heroku scheduler, we have one task running that is for the, I mean, that should be running, which is the GitHub commit counts. So we use that.
Yeah, and no, a service like that within the system could help the event model and other things which are sort of notice board.
But in what context? Because a lot of the stuff that we do in events needs to be. Well, I can see one task to create the event instances, for instance. That could be a done task.
Exactly. Once a day, create the instances for the day 30 days on or something.
Unless there's a need to create them instantly because they are due to occur the same day.
Yes. Well,
yes.
I can see that they can get updated automatically as soon as the instance is over. The last thing which happens is the URL or the YouTube URL gets added, or the instance is closed or finished. The duration is updated. So at that point in time, one can set the next one for that particular event. However, there's going to be cases where it doesn't close properly, or the event just doesn't happen. So then it hasn't updated automatically. You do need something just to run through once a day, just to check and set the next ones coming up.
Yeah. But bring those things up with John. I mean, this is absolutely very interesting points you have there. So.
Well, so my point was, have we had any thoughts about the sort of daily tasks?
Again, as somebody said, we have one task for that is running now.
We might not have thought about it because, like, currently event schedules as it stands now are generated on the fly, so there's no need for generation of event instances, and which is why, I mean, we haven't had any concept of background jobs. We did have one concept of background jobs back when we were talking about karma calculation, but as a first stage it was thought to just do the calculation on the fly, so that was not moved into a background job. And so the only background job as it stands right now is the GitHub commit count. And I was also planning to move the YouTube API fetching to a background job, but since now we have moved with the Hangout functionality, and that will be removed as well, so it doesn't really matter.
No. But there is this possibility if there's a necessity, if the need will arise, so absolutely. But in the events, when we speak about the events epic and different things that has to do with events, I can potentially see use for background tasks later on. But I leave that up to John, actually, how he wants to implement those things.
Okay.
But please, go ahead and I know he'll be happy to have you in a per programming session. So go ahead and influence him if you have good arguments for setting stuff up.
Yeah, bye everyone.
All right, Sampriti, take it easy, and let's wrap this up. We've been at it for almost hour and 20 minutes. Not that bad. These meetings tend to be 2 hours, but let's break a record. So unless there's anything else, we could wrap this up. How do you guys? Are you? How's your reflection of the first meeting, Louisa? How do you feel about this?
Oh, it's nice. I worked for 5 months in a software development company, and I really miss it.
Oh, where are you located?
In Brazil.
Oh, in Brazil. Okay, all right. So I guess you're fed up with soccer now for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, that was enough.
That was enough. I understand. Well, we all watched it though. Okay, so you used to work for a software development firm, and now you're working on your own, or what do you do?
No, I'm finishing college. I graduate this semester, and yeah, so it's been quite hard to find a job because I can't take internships because I'm almost graduating, but I don't have a degree yet.
The catch-22. I know. I've been there, done that.
So I'm just teaching English at an English school here.
Okay. And you have some free time over, so now you want to get involved in Agile Ventures.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're happy to have you on board. So let's make this a good experience for you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Christian, any last words from you?
No, thanks for the meeting. I'm sorry I talked so much this time, but I thought I had something to offer. So.
No. This is what we're here for. We're here to listen and learn. So never apologize for that. You're more than welcome. And thanks for your great inputs, Christian. I'm also very glad to have you on board, both here and on the Cordelia project. So yeah, let's make our world a better place. All right.
Okay.
Live long and prosper, friends.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Thomas. Bye.